Hello again, hockey fans. Are you ready to brave the wild? With me, your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Brave the Wild is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps and also on the Hockey Podcast Network, THPN. I want to thank Dylan and Kyle so much for having me on board that wonderful network and website. Always greatly appreciated. They're coming in out of Vancouver, British Columbia, which again, we have three players we'd like to keep up with that used to be with the Wild from the Quinn Hughes trade. Anyhow, the Minnesota Wild this past week headed to California, and is the California curse back? Well, at least in Los Angeles, it sure appears that it's a possibility because the Wild didn't play that good in Los Angeles. Anaheim, yeah, things were pretty smooth and it felt all nice, like here we go, we're on the right track, and maybe not. Doggone it. So the Wild basically get half of the points they were trying to get in the California trip. Then we head out to stay in the West Coast area, as the accent might be, to Seattle Kraken tonight. We'll talk about that. 3 games to review. 3 games to preview, 1 in Anaheim, and then 2 that were against the LA Kings Saturday and Monday. Then we have the Kraken coming up, and then we host the Minnesota Wild. Pardon me, sounds a little unprofessional. Host the New York Islanders, who are way better than they've been the past year or two, and then the New Jersey Devils. So it's like hosting East Coast teams basically, and so on and so forth. So basically, 3 games to review, 3 games to preview coming up. The Wild only 3 points out of our last, or 3 points out of the potential 6 last week. So very disappointing to say the least. It did kind of, like if you listen to old episodes for Brave the Wild, and the Wild used to, and if you've been a Wild fan for many years, the Wild have often struggled in California. And then it looked like, oh no, now we're beating the Kings, semi-often, and we actually beat Anaheim all the time now. Where Anaheim used to basically own the Wild, the Sharks used to own the Wild, and we're kind of back to that again. And then the Los Angeles Kings used to own the Wild. I would say the Kings have consistently been the frustration in California, at least since their quote-unquote golden era, which started fairly early in the history of Brave the Wild. They started to become a good team, a great team in 2012. I do believe they started showing signs of it in like 10, 11, but more so into 12, 14, 15, so on and so forth. And then obviously they stopped winning cups, but they were competitive for a long time. And then kind of ups and downs, blah, blah, blah. Where Anaheim obviously was very competitive early on in the Brave the Wild era. And then eventually, players aged out, so to speak. And Wild have generally been pretty good against the Anaheim Ducks, especially since the departure of Bruce Boudreau, basically, from there. But, I've been kind of dragging this a little bit, but that's kind of how that goes. There we go. Let's get something in me, coffee related. 5-2 victory over the Anaheim Ducks, who were a first-place team early on in the season. Now that's like a far cry. They're only 2 games above 500. I remember last year, Greg Cronin had the Anaheim Ducks at 500. The Wild beat the Ducks very late in the season. It was our last regular season game, and the Ducks' second last, if I remember correctly. It was a back-and-forth game. The Ducks were beating the Wild. It was a pretty gritty performance. A certain host of the show was actually in attendance for once in a billion years. And, the Wild ended up escaping. Jules Eriksson being one of the heroes in that one, and Marc-Andre Fleury, a heroic entrance in the game, and he stopped everything coming his way. It's a pretty perfect ending to a career, actually. Kirill the Thrill would score, but Daniil Yurov would have 2 goals against the Anaheim Ducks. That was extremely exciting. One of them off the skate, the other just kind of off him, kind of off the stick, kind of like it was a deflection. Really enjoyed, an amazing performance by Quinn Hughes with 4 assists in the game. One of them, of course, one of the later ones where it was a deflection with Mr. Yurov. He basically was like, go ahead, Danilo Yurov barely thought he even scored the goal at the time, and Quinn Hughes did the little head nod, like, no, you first, basically, like, you're the one that scored. You know how they go on the little fist pound line in front of the Wild bench and such. That's how teams do their little tradition when they score goals. Hughes did the little head nod, you, go forward. There you go. Yep, you're the hero here, not me. And that was pretty awesome. So, kind of cool. That subtle leadership that Quinn Hughes brings to the Minnesota Wild already is beautiful. 4 assists is beautiful too. Crazy to think he's only a -2 or +2. He can't possibly be minus in this game, right? If anybody's minus, it's like, that's interesting. Oh yeah, Middleton was a minus. That's kind of a bummer. That's bad luck. Obviously on the ice, just at the magical wrong time there. Unfortunately for him, but yes, Quinn Hughes, amazing performance, getting the puck on net over and over and over again, and the Wild would capitalize. It was a lot of guys that you don't expect to score, except for Kirill Kaprizov, of course. Yeah, it's kind of often when Kirill scores. I'd say it's fairly often, even though I wouldn't say he's had his best season in terms of goal scoring. He would open up the scoring, and after that, you see Danila Yurov score twice. You see Trennan actually was the second guy to score, his third of the season. Yurov, again, ultimately winding up with a couple goals in the game. That was really exciting, and you felt good. His fifth and his sixth goals officially. And Nico Sturm getting his fourth goal. So a bunch of guys getting goals that, obviously aren't considered the higher scoring people at this stage, but Danilo Yurov showing all kinds of potential going forward into his career, considering his young age, starting significantly earlier in his career than Kirill Kaprizov did. Wonderful, good for him, obviously. So 37 games so far for Danilo Yurov, 16 points, 6 goals, 10 assists. So yes, promising numbers. Unlike certain other young players, when they started out, they would be like 15, 20 games in and still be struggling for their first goal. And it's like, you feel so bad. The Yurovs, the Liam Ogrens, and even Marco Rossi took a long time to finally get into the scoring column, and eventually he did. So, good. Unfortunately, not getting a whole lot in Vancouver. We'll maybe check up on those guys in a little bit. But a very fun, satisfying night versus the Anaheim Ducks. Ultimately, a 5-2 victory. And in a game that was 5-0. Or no, not 5-0. That's a different game. My head is just all over. It's been really busy at work. I mean, wow. Not been the greatest. But generally speaking, I went to 2-0, 2-1. And then ultimately, Troy Terry would score from Kyle Granlund, of course, a very familiar name to Minnesota Wild fans. They would get their second goal of the game with 2.5 minutes remaining, and the Wild would win 5-2. Again, Danilo Yurov, 2 goals, and of course Quinn Hughes with 4 assists. Easy choice for the first star. Yurov didn't even get in the star category. It was Seneke who had a goal for the Ducks. He got the number 2 star, and he did play well. Kaprizov also played very well. Only 1 goal and no assist, but again, other stuff going on besides just the goal. Yurov's goals, you could say, were kind of semi-luck-ish, so that's kind of why. Obviously, he didn't get in the crew. He didn't get to be one of the 3 stars, which might have annoyed some fans, but it is what it is. Guys, it is what it is. In this game, this was Gustafsson, who I would say of late, dare we say, has been the better goaltender. Yes, and it's a bummer to say because obviously we're all excited about Jesper Wallstedt, he's the future, but Gustafsson's the present, and that's okay. That's okay if Gustafsson might play, 2 out of 3 games. And that's okay, 2 out of 3, not like, 7 out of 8 or something, or 5 out of 6 or whatever, like the Devin Dubnyk era, and then by March, he would run out of gas. Here come the playoffs, and the Wild losing 5 games. Woo! Stuff like that, which was devastating and frustrating. Gustafsson, I think, looking obviously like the better goalie of late, and God bless him. It's not like Jesper Wallstedt has been bad. He's had some pretty damn good games as well. But, unfortunately, that LA Kings game, it just felt like they were a step ahead of the Wild the whole game, which was really annoying. Kings only 4 games under 500 right now as well. That's the weird part and frustrating part. But again, it felt like they were a step ahead of the Wild the whole game. Kind of shades of that Colorado Avalanche Game 7. Yeah, you could say that. Shades of the Colorado Avalanche Game 7 in 2014, where it's like Avalanche ahead, Wild tie it. Avalanche ahead, Wild tie it. Avalanche ahead, Wild tie it. Whereas in this case, it didn't, the bad guys won in this case, not the good guys, if you want to call it that. Wild ended up losing in the shootout, which was annoying. They sucked in the shootout, I thought. Generally speaking, it was just not a good shootout. Wallstedt was not all that spectacular, and obviously the attempts were stopped by Darcy Kemper, and Kemper would get the last laugh, unfortunately. Quinton Byfield obviously was up and down the ice. He had one of his better games, I'd have to say, with the Los Angeles Kings, because his overall numbers don't jump out at you at all. He's okay. He's fine. He's not a franchise player, as far as I'm concerned. And when you're picked number 2 in the draft, you're hoping for a franchise player or somebody close to it. He's not, as far as I'm concerned. And if he is someday, good for him. But he ain't there yet. Corey Perry, yep, somebody who gets under a lot of people's skin, I would have to say, would score in the game. Again, Byfield, a goal and an assist. He ended up being the number one star in the game. God bless him. Yes, Clark would have some good attempts, I'm sure. Yes, he was up and down the ice, especially in the next game. But, man, it was a frustrating game overall. Back and forth game. Got me pissed off, frustrated. I even got a response from a Kings fan, I do believe, with like 14 followers. But not that that matters. You know, I mean, I shouldn't even say that. I really shouldn't. Who am I? You know what I mean? Do I have a million followers? No. Do I have? No, I don't really. Not even close. Not even, 2,000. No. So I have no right to really brag about that at all. I don't even know what I'm going or where I'm going with that. It's just, yeah. I mean, it's not worth getting into that kind of conversation. Podcast host. I enjoy doing it, but am I a star? Of course not. Kevin Fiala would get an assist in this one. Otherwise, an important goal for the Kings the second time around. Joel Eriksson Ek, Boldy, Ek another clutch goal in the game. Brock Faber. Again, I do believe I picked Faber to score in one of these games. I did absolutely pick, I thought the Wild would lose like 2-1 or something like that against the Kings in one of these games. I think it was this first one, and Middleton to score. So just imagine if I put that into DraftKings. You could do those in-game bets, like who's going to score a goal. Whoa. Because we're going to hear from DraftKings in a little bit here. That might have been a really exciting one. So, shoot. I kind of wish I did, because Jake Middleton scored his first goal of the year. And I do believe that might have been like you bet $10 and you get 100 type of thing. I think it was something along those lines. I think the odds were somewhere in there. And, man, that would have been exciting. But it might have even been 5 for 100. It might have even been that. But I can't remember the exact number. But because I don't know, I kind of was blanking on it, and, just didn't happen. Doggone it. But it was really cool to see Jake Middleton score his first actual goal. He had 8 assists coming into the game, and Faber, again, getting his 9th. So Faber will probably get a career high in goals by the end of the season. Might even get to 20 with the pace he's at. I think he's on pace for right around 18, right about there. We're about halfway there. So just imagine, though, that'd be pretty cool to see Faber get closer to 20 goals in the season. It's a possibility. So definitely moving up in that statistic. Urov would add another assist. Again, so good for him. I believe that was assist number 10 on Le Saison. But the Wild ultimately would lose a back and forth battle. They had a lot of us cursing our head off, like, yay, we got this. No, oh, dang it, we gave up another stupid goal. The Kings just kept coming and coming. And again, it felt like they were a step ahead of the Wild the whole damn game. It was nauseating. It was frustrating beyond belief. It really was. But we get a shot at revenge on Monday night, and the Kings were better that game than the previous game. Yeah, they were. The Wild were worse. Gustafsson was in net. He gave up 3 goals, empty net type of thing. It felt like the Wild were actually worse in this one. Power play opportunity after power play opportunity that just didn't happen, and it was really frustrating. Gustafsson I would say he was a little better. Like I've been saying, he's been the better goalie, and he was the better goalie in this one as well. He's just been a little bit better so far. A couple of softies were given up by Jesper Wallstedt said correctly in the Saturday night game. Fun game, again, if you like that back and forth stuff, which, yes, understandably, most fans do. But when you come up short in those kind of games, you're left really, really pissed off. It's frustrating if you have a competitive gene in your body, which some of us do. Usually if you watch sports, you have a competitive gene and you're somewhere, because you probably played something once in a while. Spurgeon would score a rare goal. That's another guy, again, who may have been a little fun bet idea. But, again, don't quote me on that. Kierstad got out there for 8.5 minutes. Good for him, Minnesota native. Skating with the Minnesota Wild. Christmas colors, because no Bogosian and Juracek was just scratched. That's cute. And Tyler Pitlick, of course, scratched. It is what it is, guys. It really is. Guys and gals and guys. It's just, I don't know. Just the scoring just wasn't there in this game. It was just a frustrating game. This was the lower scoring one of the two. I kind of thought the first one would be. But that was a pretty wild and crazy game, pun unintended. Unfortunately, Fiala would score in the game, which was annoying. Darcy Kemper ultimately would be the number 2 star despite save percentage of about 943, basically 94 and a half, 33 saves, only 2 goals given up, and Kuzmenko was a pain in the ass to deal with in the game. 1 goal, 1 assist. And Byfield would add another assist in the game. Not that spectacular number, but it's a number. It is what it is. Fiala would, of course, score his 15th late in the second period to put the Kings up 2-0. So the Wild had to play a comeback in this one. Never officially tied the game up though, because the Kings would take that 3-1 lead from Andrei Kuzmenko. Good for him, unfortunately for us. 9th goal of the season. Spurgeon would finally get the Wild on the board almost 6 minutes into the third period. Again, Kemper was spectacular, and he definitely got the last laugh in this little 2-game series with the Los Angeles Kings in not Staples Center. What's it called now? Crypto Arena, I believe? Or is it even different from there now? Yes, Crypto.com Arena. I get stuff mixed up because I know the, God forbid, the Golden, that's that stupid Northern California basketball team. Yeah, the Northern California basketball team. Yeah, Golden State Warriors. I can't stand them. Yeah, they changed their arena recently. They were in Oracle forever, and I believe it's Chase. But we're not talking about the Warriors here, are we? No, the Kings were annoying enough in this little 2-game series. It was agitating beyond belief. Again, felt just like they were a little bit better than us in both games, and it's just a total tease. Like we were the turtle chasing the carrot, you know? It's just, it's so annoying. Sharks got the best of the Kings, though, last night. Well, chomp. Wish we could have chomped on the Kings a little bit, too, but it just didn't happen. Bloody hell, mate. Bloody hell. It was bad, yes. Little Australian slang there, if you can call it that. It was frustrating, though. The Mike Modano Award winner for this episode, Quinn Hughes. Yeah, Quinn Hughes, obviously. It seemed like the whole, in both of these games, but or in all 3 of the games, but the whole time with the Kings, Quinn Hughes still very much a factor, keeping the puck alive, winning puck battles, keeping the zone. His stick handling is insane. Skating is insane. His release is insane. Some people could say he's the best player on the team right now, and it's not really. I don't think there'd be a whole lot of arguing necessarily. Not because anybody'd be pissed off because you do have Kirill Kaprizov. Some see him as one of the top 5 players in the league, and I could kind of call myself. I could put myself in that group. Either way, if you want to be more objective about things, you could say both of them are top 10 players in the National Hockey League. Top 5 would be a stretch. I mean, to have 2 of the top 5 players in the league would be pretty amazing. But again, obviously you need other players to step up at times. Tarasenko's scoring has gotten quiet again, but I wouldn't say he's hurting the team, just not helping all that much. Unfortunately, Boldy getting quieter as well, unfortunately, after a great couple of weeks there. Looking spectacular. Sad to see Joel Eriksson couldn't score on some attempts in this one. He had 5 shots on goal. He was pretty good in this LA Kings back and forth. Kaprizov, of course, 5 goals, 5 shots on net, shots on goal, whatever. Quinn Hughes with 4. Faber with 5 blocks against the Kings, his former club, did get an assist. So great job by Faber, but Quinn Hughes will bring home the Modano. The James Shepard Memorial for this episode, just generally speaking, it felt frustrating to see this team kind of, I don't know, just have a hell of a time scoring. It was frustrating. They had a hell of a time out there. Kind of like a gentle one to maybe Hinostroza. I don't want to really kick a guy that's not playing that much. He's, in a much more reduced role, and he probably should be. You're just not seeing much out of Vinny Hinostroza. So God bless him, the Chicago native. Wouldn't mind a Chicago hot dog right about now or in a little while. Not this second, of course, at the end of the show. Watching some old school Ben Matlock. But sounds like a plan, actually. But anyhow, Hinostroza, I'm going to probably give it to him. His production has kind of vanished off the face of the earth. Let's just be honest about it. But not meaning to kick a guy that's kind of down, so to speak, coming back from injury not too long ago. But we're not seeing a whole lot, unfortunately. With that, we'll take a quick break and come back and preview the upcoming games and keep her rolling. And we are back here on Brave the Wild. Segment number 2 is looking to preview some games and, of course, look at the prospects. Be disappointed about the World Junior Classic. The U.S. didn't even get to the medal round or whatever, the semifinals. Yeah, we'll call it the medal round in the Olympic world, but because it technically is like that. They didn't even get to the what the hell? That's kind of annoying. I don't even want to talk about it. It's so damn depressing. With that said, first, we're going to hear from DraftKings right here and right now. The jaw-dropping moments that make hockey. Experience them all with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Missouri listeners, listen up. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in the Show Me State. So good for you, Missouri. Yeah, St. Louis Blues fans, let's roll, right? New customers, this one's for you. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you will get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Kind of like a Jake Middleton goal, huh? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY, which is 467-369. In Connecticut, for the Hartford Whalers fans, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, pass-through of per-wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Sorry, Blackhawks fans. Void in Ontario. Sorry, Maple Leafs fans. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gambling resources, see dkng.com/audio. Last time offer. Copyright NHL 2026. All rights reserved. And let's reserve the right to talk about the Seattle Kraken, huh? 2014-7. They're kind of back into the competitive world. Are they a playoff team, though? That's the million-dollar question. We'd like to have stuff up. I don't think they'd be in. The West is pretty darn competitive for the most part. I wonder what that's all about. What's going on? Okay, anyhow, let's not think about certain things here. It's right in front of me, and I'm not pushing the right button. Don't you just love that when you do that? It's like, it's worse than Shaq missing a free throw. It makes Shaq look like Larry Bird at the free throw line. Okay, we finally got there. It took about 20 minutes. Seattle Kraken are, they're a division leader, if you can believe it, because the Pacific is kind of, they're tied with the Sharks, and the Kings are 1 game behind. The Ducks are point behind, and the Ducks are 2 points behind. Playoffs, please. Seattle's a division leader by the skin of their proverbial teeth. Anaheim Ducks are out 2 points behind, so that's how close it is. Utah Mammoth, same thing. They had a back and forth with the Ottawa Senators, ended up winning that one. Blackhawks have won 4 in a row. They're back up to 500, so okay. Winnipeg has lost 10 in a row. They are at the bottom of the Western Conference. Vancouver Canucks, the guys from THPN there, they're 4 games. They've lost 4 games in a row, if I can ever get my words out properly. Seattle's won 4 in a row, so go Kraken, I guess. They're 4-1 in their past 5. Pittsburgh Penguins have won 5 in a row. They're one of the hotter teams in the league. And the Tampa Bay Lightning, watch out, 8 wins in a row. And they're tied with the Carolina Hurricanes. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Like Carolina and Tampa being way up there. It's about time Carolina finally broke through and went to the final. Isn't it, though? Maybe against us. Ooh, that would be interesting. New York Islanders, same thing. They're 3 games behind, and we're going to talk about them shortly. I kind of like the Eastern Conference right now, except for Pittsburgh and Washington. No. How about Buffalo and, Buffalo, maybe Ottawa or something, or Boston, just to have Boston back kind of in there. Don't want Pittsburgh and Washington. I'm kind of over all that. It's time to move on. You have Tampa, Montreal, Detroit leading the Atlantic. Isn't that cool? I think that's cool. Carolina, New York, Islanders, and Philadelphia, I'll take that any day. Any day. Tired of teams like the Rangers, Penguins, and stuff. A lot of people are probably tired of Toronto, and man, they're 5 games above 500 and not in the postseason at the moment. But it's a pretty big freaking logjam all the way down to Columbus. They're above 500. You realize that? Yeah, they're only 6 points behind the Penguins. pretty wild. Pun semi-intended. Yeah, Wild have lost 2 in a row. Yes, it's depressing. 2 points behind the Dallas Stars. Colorado's lost a couple in a row. I like that. That's good. But yeah, they're 11 points ahead of the Wild and have the best record in the National Hockey League. Enough of that babbling, Joey. Let's go. The Kraken from Seattle, Lottie. I know, some old commercial. Philip Grubauer putting up some great numbers this year. It's about time. Isn't that what they were hoping for when he got there? Way back at the beginning with Seattle, and he was just awful, like giving up like 4 goals a game. That was frustrating. Joey Decord obviously has been very consistent, generally speaking, when healthy. 2.82 goals against average. It's not great, but 12-9 record. Grubauer 8-3, 2.21 goals against average. Wallstead numbers right now, with no shutouts. Interestingly enough, just consistency. Almost 93% save percentage. No shutouts. But an 8-3 record and that tiny goals against average and save percentage. Pretty impressive. Jordan Eberle, some ties here. 28 points, 15 goals, 13 assists to lead the way. Though the lead assist guy is Matty Beniers. He's got 26 total points for your Seattle Kraken. Jaden Schwartz, very familiar name as well. 23 games, only unfortunately for him. 8 goals, 7 assists for 15 points. Vince Dunn, former St. Louis Blue, 23 points, not bad at all. 17 assists, pretty good. So, let's look at the injury report if we can get back to that. I thought I had it up, and I do. I thought. For the Wild, Zach Bogosian did not play versus the Kings, basically, just out. And then Damon Hunt, injured reserve with no other information, of course, because that's how they roll. 4 injuries for the Seattle Kraken. Max McCormick out hip. Jan 7. Ili Tolvanen, day-to-day, did not play in Jan 6th versus the Bruins. Brandon Montour, former Florida Panther, of course. Injured reserve. Seattle Kraken placed him in injured reserve on Monday, December 22nd, and will be sidelined for 4 weeks. So officially was out since December 17th. Jaden Schwartz, center, injured reserve. Seattle Kraken placed him on injured reserve on November 29th. Wow. Been out since November 26th. Matt Murray. Matt Murray's microwave macaroni. I know, I'm just kidding. Injured reserve, the Kraken said on November 18th, and Murray's expected to be out of action for about 6 weeks. The team announced Tuesday, November 18th. So that's, he's got to be getting close. He's been placed in injured reserve per NHL media site. There you go. Yeah, that's he's got to be pretty close to coming back if that's the case. Maybe you know how things tend to drag longer in this world. Matt Murray, of course, former Pittsburgh Penguin. Yes, we've heard that a million times. Wasn't he on the Ottawa recently? The more recent guy that was traded was Tristan Jarry, right? With the to the Edmonton Oilers for Stuart Skinner. So kind of swapping goalies there. The Edmonton Oilers try to do something. I mean, it's like the old stick man poking the Pittsburgh Penguins logo saying do stuff. Or excuse me, the Edmonton Oilers logo saying do stuff. Penguins did stuff too, I guess. Comparisons, should we get to that real quick? I babble too much. Thought I knew what I was doing. Apparently not. Okay. Where is it? There's no comparisons here. Well, there is no comparison. The Wild are better. Just kidding. Goals, the Wild are 10th. The Kraken are 28th. The power play, the Wild are 11th. But not against LA. So, like, might as well have been 32nd. 10th for Seattle. A little bit better. Interesting. Goals against the Wild are 6th. The Kraken are 5th. Pretty good. Penalty kill, the Wild are lousy. 26th. They weren't too good against LA either. Kraken are the worst penalty kill in the National Hockey League. What do you think of that? So only 70.4. Take advantage of Minnesota. The Wild are the best for penalty minutes, and the Kraken are way up there as well. 24th in total penalty minutes. The Wild did beat the Kraken 4-1 back on December 8th. I think that was with Wallstead in the net. Staying in Seattle this time around. And then the Wild will host the Kraken on April 7th. A lot more sunlight, I got to think there. Kraken have won 4 in a row, losing 1 to Vancouver and winning 1 to Vancouver, versus Vancouver recently. They're a pretty close neighbor there to the north, just slightly to the north. They're right on top of each other. I can imagine a lot of Seattle people were Canucks fans forever. So then they finally got their own team again for the first time in about 100 years. Yeah, literally 100, like that's a long time. And they look like the Wild. That's the interesting part. The Metropolitans But anyhow, I think the Wild can win this game. I like the matchup. Historically, the Wild have had pretty good success against the Seattle Kraken. I'll have the Wild beating them 3-2. Not a very high-scoring game, of course. Most likely guy to score for the Minnesota Wild in this one is going to be... Boy, my head is... I'll say Boldy gets back on the board again, and it'll be nice. Obviously, he's been a little quiet, so he's due. New York Islanders. No, the New York Islanders. 24, 15, and 4. They're second place in the Metropolitan Division. Grand Casino Arena. Sorokin's definitely had some strong games. Injury report real quick here for the Islanders anyway. Bo Horvat, who'd been spectacular. He's been day-to-day, starting back to about New Year's Day here, unfortunately. He will join the trip, or he will join for the trip, so maybe he'll play against the Wild tonight. We'll see. Kyle Palmieri, injured reserve, going back to late November there. November 30th officially, or 28th. Alexander Romanov, very familiar name. Reported on Sunday, November 23rd. He will have surgery and be out 5 to 6 months. We'll see you next season, my friend. At least, 5 to 6 months. Yeah, that's next season. It'll be summertime right there. Pierre Engvall. Man, that's another one. Long-term injured reserve going all the way back to October 23rd, and the dates was all the way back into September. Another one, Semyon Varlamov, the goaltender, injured reserve. He's been out since the beginning of the season, basically, and dating all the way back into early August. So that's unfortunate for Varlamov, for the New York Islanders. Remember, he used to be with the Avalanche long ago in a galaxy far away. It really was a long time ago, by the way. I worded that wrong. It's long ago in a galaxy far away, but you get the idea. The Wild did beat the Islanders 5-2 on November 7th, when we were basically the best team in the league during that stretch. Islanders have won 2 in a row, including a 9-0, 9-0 demolition versus the New Jersey Devils. What the heck happened there? Devil's State of Mind podcast. I can imagine what they have to say about that. That is harsh. 9-0. What is it? Personal here or something? What's going on? Comparisons. Yeah, this is where we just read off the other team. Islanders 20th in that. Power play, they're 27th. Goals against, their 7th. Yeah, okay. Penalty kill, 8th. And penalty minutes, they're right in the middle, basically, of the National Hockey League. This one, again, is in Grand Casino Arena. Sorokin he's had his ups and downs the last couple of years, but generally speaking, he's an outstanding goalie. 4 shutouts on the season, 91.5 save percentage, 2.45 goals against average, 13-10 on the season. David Ridish, the former Calgary Flame, 11-5. He's been good as a backup, like when the pressure's been off of him. 2.48 and 2 shutouts, save percentage of almost 91. Not bad. Matthew Barzal, who's had some spectacular games in the past, especially during some of those Islanders postseason runs that would end up in heartbreak against Tampa Bay 2 years in a row. That was really hard to watch, actually. I like the Islanders. Yeah, I like the Islanders. It'd be nice to see them get past somebody, especially those years. And I like Tampa too, but shoot. It would have been cool to see the Islanders get past them. That 1-0 Game 7 loss. Can imagine the devastation there. Barzal with 24 assists on the season, 11 goals. Bo Horvat, 21 goals. He is joining them on the trip. He leads the club in goals, the former Vancouver Canuck. Anders Lee, Minnesota ties, of course. 10 goals, 15 assists, 25 points in 43 games. And, yep, stay healthy. Get to those guys. They've got 43 games in their belt, so good for them. Obviously, we had some ties here years ago. And we can move on from that. Was it Cal Clutterbuck was there forever? And, of course, why am I blanking on the other one? the former Gopher that was there for like a minute. He left the Gophers, and then the Wild traded him for Cam Barker. Yeah, it was not good. That was not a good day. Ended up being a decent defensive, but not that great. But most of you know who that is. Just the name's blanking on me, and I'll probably slap myself when I see it in a few minutes here. In fact, I could just pull it up. Was it that 2009 draft? Right when Chuck Fletcher got here and we traded him away? Nick Leddy, yep, of course, yep. And I do believe he's still playing, too. He should be. Sharks, that's right. Yep, I remember seeing him on the Sharks, 17 games so far this year. And he was at Seattle recently, Islanders for a long time. He did win the Stanley Cup right away. Well, not right away, but a couple of years after being traded to the Black Hawks. They had recently won the Stanley Cup when he was traded there. Anyhow, we'll move on. Never played a game with the Minnesota Wild, unfortunately. Speaking of Lee, Anders Lee, yep. No, a winnable game, but not going to be particularly easy, I can't imagine. Islanders have been playing very well. This might be a tough one. They have been playing very well of late. I mean, I don't think they're going to score 9 goals against us. That would be an abomination. And obviously, I don't know what happened in New Jersey. I don't know, like, what the heck? Like, how do you lose 9-0? Like, how? Sheesh. It's just like, I don't know. That's like an expansion team versus, like, the best team in the league, basically. And we're talking, like, an expansion team back in the day, not now. I don't know what to say. This one's going to be a tough one. It'll be a tough test. I got a feeling the Wild play well against the New York Islanders. Historically, we've had ups and downs against them. New Jersey, yeah, that one's a real funky one. Maybe the Wild don't win this one. Maybe just to be safe. If that reaches that frustrating Saturday night thing. I'd love to see the Wild win all 3 of these games and get 6 out of 6 possible points. Somehow I think we're going to get like 5. Something like that. Maybe it'll be a shootout loss or like OT. Maybe that type of thing. Islanders win and OT 4-3. 4-3, the Islanders win in overtime, not shootout. Hopefully not shootout. That's annoying. But it is what it is. It's a loss either way, which would be annoying. But I think the Wild get a point versus the Islanders. I think the Wild are going to get 5 out of 6. So, I think the Wild will beat New Jersey. I would hope so. But watch out. This reeks of trap game. And, of course, you're going to have the Hughes game. It's Hughes, and Hughes, and Hughes, and Hughes. So if your name is Hughes, you're part of this game, probably. Everybody except Hugh in Star Trek Next Generation. Yeah, the former Borg, basically. Jack and Luke and Jack. And Quinn, by the way. If you forgot about him. Perhaps you've heard of him. Jake Allen's had some good moments. We look at the injury report. And no Hughes is in the injury report, which is good. So we'll see all 3 skating, I would hope. Simon Nemec, injured reserve, Jan 8th. Come on, I've said this name a million times. Evgeny Dadonov, that's a Dadonov, yeah, that's a good one. I like that name, Evgeny Dadonov. Just I don't know, I'm just not getting words out the way I'd like today for some reason. Yesterday was tough, let me tell you. So, basically out since, injured reserve since November 25. Zach McEwen, out since November 13th. Ouch. Mark McLaughlin, if I mispronounced that, slap me. Out since October 6th. Ouch. That can't be good. And again, no information, but sounds awfully serious. Jonathan Kovacevic. Come on, it's not that hard. Kovacevic. Or Sevich, probably. Well, officially it says May 1st, and then they officially put him on the long-term injured reserve on October 12th. So, not good. Not good at all. No, son, not good at all. So the Devils did beat the Wild 4-1 early in the season when the Wild were sucking pretty bad. 4-1 loss on October 22nd. This should be a win. The Devils are not playing well. They're only 3 games above 500. Can imagine Quinn Hughes playing spectacular, but watch out, Jack and Luke might be spectacular too. We'll see. Jasper Bratt, 9 goals, 24 assists to lead the way with 33 points. Nico Hischier, I'm probably mispronouncing that as well because I suck at it. No, I'm just saying 12 goals, 20 assists, 32 points for him to kind of lead the way. He's the captain. He was the number 1 pick. Jack Hughes also way up there in that draft years ago. He's missed some time. 25 games, 24 points, but great numbers. Future Minnesota Wild top-line center Jack Hughes. Yeah, I hope. That'd be great. Luke Hughes, 43 games. Same as Quinn Hughes' number, 43. 21 points, 4 goals, 17 assists. All super high draft picks, of course. The Hughes brothers. All playing on the same ice, just like they did in, was it his last game, right? Quinn Hughes' last game with the Vancouver Canucks, it was against New Jersey, of all teams, and I bet people thought, oh, he's just going to be switching locker rooms. No, not necessarily. He's going to be flying west a bit, quite a bit from New Jersey, closer to Michigan, which is where they're originally from, so like Detroit and stuff. So As long as they don't all resurface on the Red Wings. It's okay. Nah, I don't know why I just said that. Ugh. Horrifying thought. Very winnable game. Don't mess around, guys. That's all I got to say about that. Of course, Jake Allen is the infamous goalie the Wild couldn't score on in the playoffs. Just like John Sebastian Giguère all those eons ago. Jacob Markstrom, who once upon a time was a very highly respected goaltender in the league. He's struggled and struggled and struggled. His last year, basically, pretty much since his last year with the Calgary Flames, I'd have to say. He's been pretty up and down. Goals against average about 3.5. Ugh. Just under 88% save percentage. Of course, no shutouts. They've been platooning there. 22 games apiece. Jake Allen and Jacob Markstrom. Allen 11 and 9 on the season. Goals against average of 2.55 and a shutout save percentage of 91. So, I mean, you know. God bless Jacob Markstrom, but I'd be probably playing Jake Allen more if I was the New Jersey coach, and GM and all them. But I guess we'll see. It's up to them where they decide. Timo Meier, yep, of course, he was a pretty exciting acquisition late last season, but I don't know. I mean, the Devils have been so up and down. Like 1 minute they look like a competitor, and the next minute it's like they're just awful. You know, Cody Glass, the first ever first-round pick by the Las Vegas Golden Knights, hasn't amounted a whole lot in this league. 32 games, 9 points, 7 goals, 2 assists. I don't know, he's a bottom six at best, and it's too bad. It's a shame. It's a shame. You know, you feel bad for him. I know he was kind of buried underneath a lot of free agents and such. It is what it is. That's how the Golden Knights are. So we're just gonna have to move on from that. I do think the Wild win the game 4-2. 4-2. The Wild will win the game, even 5-2 possibly because of empty net stuff. I forgot to say who would score for the Wild versus the Islanders. Jared Spurgeon. Wink, wink. Jared Spurgeon's going to score against the Islanders. I don't know. We'll see. He was a part of the organization long, long ago. In a galaxy very far away, by the way. As for the New Jersey Devils, of course, the Wild has ties with them, including their current general manager and our first coach, of course, a guy by the name of Jacques Lemaire. Yes. Who tells us that worry is part of our life? Yeah. But anyhow, worry is part of our life, by the way, isn't it? 5-2, and the guy who will definitely score at least one goal. I hope he'll score a goal, but I think he's going to get a bunch of assists, 2 or 3. Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes will score for the Minnesota Wild. Maybe 1 goal and 2 assists. 3-point game for Quinn Hughes. How about that for betting odds? Wouldn't that be something if that was accurate? If it is, oh boy, whip out that DraftKings app right now. Why don't you? Quinn Hughes, though, will be the lead star, we'll say, in the game. So let's look at the prospects quickly here. Quickly now. Oh, it's already up. That might be helpful if you just start scrolling and stop clicking, huh? Where is he? Where'd he go? A guy by the name of Liam Ogren, because that's usually how I'm able to get to both the Wild, Minnesota and Iowa Wild. Liam Ogren, by the way, watch in 11 games, he's now got 5 points, 3 goals, 2 assists. Of course, nothing in 18 games for Minnesota. He had 5 points in Iowa in 9 games. So he's almost at the Iowa pace, interestingly enough. But he was better generally in Iowa, but compared to the NHL level. But God bless him, he's gonna get better. Steve Buielman in 11 games, 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points. And Marco Rossi, what's going on? Why is he hurt? 8 games, 1 goal, 1 assist. Maybe he's hurt. That's weird. What's going on? That might be what the star is. He's hurt, I guess. Sorry to hear that, Marco. Only 1 goal, 1 assist in 8 games, by the way. I feel bad for that guy. Could sure use some center depth, can't we? Marco, you want to come? We can't, can we? Bummer. Kuznetsov, let's rub it in deeper. A guy we could definitely use in the bottom 6. Marat Kuznetsov, 5 goals, 9 assists, 14 points in 38 games. That's not bad for a 4th-line center, guys. He might be playing some third as well, and he wouldn't be a bad 3rd-line center either. We gave up on him too quick. We did. We gave up on him way too fast, in my humble opinion. That's just how I see it, folks. Let's get to the Iowa Wild if we can stomach it. Jerry Mayhew's leading them in scoring, 10 goals, 8 assists, 18 total points, Spacek added his 15th assist in a 3-2 loss, was it? Or was it 4-3 loss recently? 2 goals, 15 assists. He's a -5. Not too bad. The almost the leading scorer, and he's a defenseman. And of course, again, you got all kinds of stars ahead of him, but well, not stars, but either starter or like guys that are going to get ice time. But Spacek, man, I want to see him skate with Minnesota soon, one of these days. Hunter Haight, 12 points, 7 goals, 5 assists, 24 games. Riley Height, 33 games, -15, and only 9 points so far. 3 of them are goals. Carson Lambos he's been picking up the points a little bit. He'd been so quiet. -3 on the year, not bad in 32 games. 3 goals, 4 assists. Ben Jones also scored recently. He's a pretty good minor league player, but at the NHL level, he hasn't scored a single goal in over 30 games. That is a bummer. I think it's almost 40 now, actually. Leskovar has been 3 games in the NHL, or AHL, so far with Iowa. He's a -1, and that's about it. Mercer, unfortunately, he's been giving up a couple more goals. He lost last night. Second loss so far with Iowa, but still 1.8 goals against average, which is dazzling compared to what some of the other guys have done. But Cal Peterson's been pretty good, too. Remember, he's basically an NHL level backup, I'd have to say. Jack Pert still at 8 points and a -13 in 29 total games for Jack. 22 years of age, Grand Rapids, Minnesota. Ever heard of that place? Yeah, we have. Hermantown. Okay, sorry. That's a goofy bit on Dan Barrero when Justin Garb was out of breath, basically. Ryan Sandlin, very familiar name. I think you've heard of him before. Yes, Minnesota Duluth coach's son. Yeah, Scott. 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points, and he's a center. So that's unfortunate. Yeah, it is what it is, you know. It is what it is. But Iowa's kind of a bummer right now. Kind of has been a bummer most of the time, the last X amount of years. Excuse me. We will continue to hack away. Ryan Healy, 10 point. Nope, he's 13 games, 7 points. Yes, and college hockey's back in the mix again because it's January and we're getting a little tiny bit more sunlight, especially in the evenings. In the mornings, it's like seconds a day, so very slow. Evenings, though, it's closer to a minute a day, and it's a little bit later in the evening now. Yeah, it's early, super early signs of spring, even though it's, pointing towards spring slowly. Healy, 7 points in 13 games. Let's go. Right shot defenseman for Harvard. Apologize. Looking at all the wrong stuff. Yep, Michael Milne. Mikey Milne, as they call him. Syracuse Crunch now. Just checking up on him as the Wild made that trade. 2 goals, or two games and no points so far for him. I'm going to backtrack. Who's the guy we got again? I remember the Wild made that trade. Damn it, wrong team. Yeah, Milne had, 5 points in 15 games. Who's that new guy? Is it Boris? Yeah, Boris Kachuk. Yep, he's got, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points in 3 games for Vancouver, British Columbia, of course. Cool. Good for him. So he's doing something for Iowa. Maybe that'll end up being a positive move for Iowa. Roger Lorenz, big step forward this year, compared to previous years anyway. 21 games, 16 points, and he's a +11 for the Denver Pioneers. Calgary, Alberta native, of course. Jimmy Clark on the Gophers here. Green Bay Gamblers at one point. U.S. Hockey League. It's kind of a cool name. 12 points in 19 games. He's a +4. He's a left winger from Edina, Minnesota. Yes, Edina, I know. Kalen Parker, Michigan Tech, stuck at 6 points, still now 22 games, and he's a +1. Kalen Parker. Aaron Pionk, still at 1 point in 20 games. What happened? Man, he was a high-scoring defenseman. Minnesota Duluth. Okay, we know who this guy is. Let's keep going. Yep, Kumpalainen, 1 goal, 1 assist. So 2 points at the ECHL level. So he was sent down to the Iowa Heartlanders to, it'd be like getting sent down to AA. Maybe you're striking out too much and not getting anywhere at AAA. So sent down to AA. He's had a base hit and a home run so far. So no, like a double and a home run. It'd be kind of like that, getting his batting average up. I'm just kind of saying, 1 goal, 1 assist in 3 games at Iowa Heartlander level, the ECHL. So good for him. Kumpalainen maybe going to try to build a little confidence down there at AA. Charlie Stramel with 23 points in 18 games, 10 goals, 13 assists. Michigan State, one of the best in the country, +21. Charlie Stramel looking like a stud at the collegiate level compared to looking like a bust at the collegiate level a couple of years back. Looks great. Good job, Charlie. Go get him. Woodsky, the goaltender. That would be Chase Woodsky, 19 years of age. Again, facing a firing squad in Moose Jaw. Because, again, when I brought this up a few times, 3.5 goals against average, you think, that's awful. Yet the save percentage is higher than earlier when it was with the Red Deer Rebels, 2.73. That means he's facing a firing squad, basically, in Moose Jaw, because the save percentage is higher. Yeah, so easier said than done for him, unfortunately. So Yanni has been bouncing all over the... Well, no, he's not the one bouncing around. It's somebody else. 27 games, 1 goal, 3 assists, and 4 total points. He was in the World Championships last year and had 2 games. So, no, that was last year, not this year. Kivihara was there last year and this year. 5 assists. Good job for Finland. Did not win the championship. That was Sweden. But 5 assists. Pretty good. But, yes, as I hear from Derek, he's kind of basically inconsistent. So, do check out Crease Assist podcast. You'll hear a more detailed description on what he saw from Mr. Aaron Hiviharu. Yeah, but basically, no, I won't let the cat out of the bag. Just overall, let's just say, doesn't look all that spectacular, but promising in some ways. Okay, at least on paper from my point of view. Ryder Ritchie, Boston University, 18 games, 11 points. Okay, 4 goals, 7 assists, -4 for Ryder Ritchie. Justin Kipke, now at 8 points, 2 goals, 6 assists. Okay, Arizona State Sun Devils, not bad, almost half a point a game. Not dominating like he was the Victoria Royales, but what do you expect? It's, college hockey's a level higher than the WHL. 21 years of age is Justin Kipke. He was an old rookie, unfortunately. Carter Klippenstein, who won an award recently. Well, the little prospect of the week thing on MNW Young Guns. So MNW prospects. 11 goals, 16 assists, 27 points. He is a left winger for the Brandon Wheat Kings of the WHL. A 4th-round pick by the Wild, a +4 on La Saison. Liam Amadovsky. 22 points, 35 games for him. 2 overall, he's a +2. Adam Bennick performed pretty well, if I could ever get there, at the World Junior Championships. Yes, 8 points, 7 games, 1 goal, 7 assists, 8 total points for Czech. Good job, +4 on the season. So, encouraging signs because it's a higher level than just the Brantford Bulldogs. 45 points there now as he's back to Brantford of the OHL. So encouraging signs that he stepped up at a higher level. So we'll see. Obviously, again, doesn't guarantee a doggone thing, but very encouraging signs for the Pilsen Czech Republic native. Adam Bennick at 5'8". The Zuccarello, maybe another Zuccarello, maybe. But so far at Brantford and at the World Junior Championships, he's been Zuccarello-ish, at least on paper, at the very least. At least on paper. But yeah, when you're watching him, he's a hell of a passer. Moves around nicely, and he's a good passer. So it's very encouraging, to say the least. Theodor Hulkvist. Again, he's the one that's been jumping around between major and minor pro and then junior level. Numbers are pretty much the same. He's pretty much been in minor pro for the Swedish Hockey League. He had 1 point at the pro level, major pro in 6 games. 5 points and 5 assists in 11 games. He's got no goals, by the way, for the junior level. And then at the minor pro in 23 games, 2 assists. That's pretty much where he has been hanging out, and he's a -8 there. Ugh. So that's a bugger. +6 at the junior level. So again, super young. We're talking young as young, because he was still 17 right before the draft. So yeah, pretty wild stuff. So Theodore, it's going to be a minute before we can truly evaluate where he's at. So very, very young. Son of a gun. With that, we'll take a quick break, get into fan interaction after this. we are back here on Brave the Wild finale segmento. At Brave the Wild, as I get the black screen and the spinning circle. I just love when that happens. It's wonderful, isn't it? It's absolutely great. At Brave the Wild is le Twitter. I did put up the hashtag BTWMN this time around. I did the bat signal. I don't think I put out a poll, did I? No. Love these comments here. I really do. I'm going to make sure I click like on everything. So otherwise, yeah, it's not good. Yeah, I'm going to be going back a bit. Yeah, because there's a couple of responses too before we get to the official lightning round, and Jay Bushy leading off Chuck Knobloch style with the home run, right? Or Ricky Henderson maybe, right? When was the last episode? It was New Year's Day. Okay. Yeah, there's a bunch of comments here, which is great. Kind of back and forth, me and Derek a little bit before it gets to be like the lightning round stuff. Yeah, so let's get started here, doggone it. I was saying, I like the way, okay, I was saying I'm terrified to say this, but this is a really good team. And then I said, I like the way Quinn Hughes motioned, you're off to go ahead of him. It said love him. Ahead of him. Yeah, I hate voice text, and it was too late, and I didn't change it. For the fist pound line, because Danilo had officially scored the goal. Yeah, it was cool. Or he did the little where you nudge your head, like go this way. Hey, it's like, hey, Danilo, this way. I like that stuff. I don't know. So Quinn Hughes, he's my kind of guy. I like him. I like calmer people. I mean, I can calm down myself sometimes, and let's just say working with calm people is wonderful compared to not so calm. Okay, Derek was saying, yeah, this is fine. Yeah, we'll open up with this because of the poll. Sorry for seeing this late. My New Year's resolution for the Wild is to get off to a fast start after the Olympic break, yes. And for those that participate to be healthy by the tournament's conclusion. Yep. Heck yes. Yeah, that's about as good a resolution as you could come up with when it comes to just general, like, yes, guys, come back healthy and come back strong. Don't come back in some kind of hangover, so to speak. Not a real hangover, but like, break hangover, kind of like good sometimes after having a week or two off. And, yeah, it's hard to go back to work after that. But it is what it is. Yeah, what was it? Oh, yeah. And I'm going to respond also as well to something on the recent Crease Assist podcast where I asked about, isn't it cool that there's two goalies, that both goalies are, going for Sweden for the Olympics? And they were like, no, because why do you want both of them there? It's almost the last thing you want is them to get, they should be resting instead. Yes, I agree. That was probably a bad question. That was kind of a bad one. Yeah, I agree. It's cool for them. It's cool for the recognition. And yes, and you mentioned that as well. And that was kind of my point, the recognition side. So I probably should have worded that a little better. The recognition side is the cool part. Yes, no, otherwise, yeah, it's probably better if they do rest. Yes, the response to when I was like, I think the Wild have the wrong Juracek. Doggone it. Basically is what I said. He looks really good. Derek was saying, yeah, Adam Juracek looks great. That was, again, the younger brother of David Juracek. Yes. And he's a Blues drafty, so we will see him a lot for years to come, unfortunately. He's a Blues drafty. Oh, yeah. Ouch. That sucks. That really sucks. Oh, man. See if I can find him real quick. Yeah, there he is, Adam. Oh, yeah, he's 3 years younger. Oh, wow, he was really high, too. Yeah, David was a high pick. And Adam, 16th overall in 2024. 29 points at Brantford. Yeah, so he's in the same place. The Brantford Bulldogs. Isn't that where, what's-his-face is? Adam Bennick? Oh, boy, interesting. Yeah, that's the same team. Yep. Crap. We got the wrong Juracek, didn't we? Yeah, wasn't he like even higher? Yeah, 6th overall. That's what I thought, like way up there. And he's not been spectacular at all. Too bad he couldn't, like, I don't know. He's been in Iowa. What has he done in Iowa? Two freaking assists, 3 points, 13 games, -8. Son of a biscuit. 18 games for the Wild. He's at least he's even. No, he's a +1. So that's kind of encouraging. But yeah, how many minutes did he play? Like 5 minutes. So yeah, that sucks. Yeah, why do we always have to come up short in these Always, right? Since Mary, Minnesota, we just came up short. So when I was talking about Hughes like motioning Mister, you're off to go forward, Derek was responding to that comment with, "Good to see him be unselfish. He seems to be becoming rather comfortable with this group." I agree. Yeah, it's been a great. Yes, it's been a fantastic addition. It's been a wonderful story so far with Quinn Hughes here. I just hope it never ends. I really hope it never ends. I was talking about it's crazy to think the Wild are 19-1 versus the Ducks, as they used to like roast us every time we played them. Yes, and Derek was saying, yep, and this is correct. Those Anaheim teams were big, heavy, and had some studs like Getzlaf, Perry, and a strong defense with Pronger. Yep, remember Chris Pronger, Niedermeyer. Oh man, not to mention great goaltending with. Don't say that name. Okay, Sebastian Giguère, yes. The team is now smaller, skilled, and fast, but they're improving steadily. It's kind of like when the Wild started to beat Vancouver more often because they got smaller and stuff too. Kind of a small, skilled team versus a big physical team. And yeah, that Ducks team was tough. It's a totally different team, yes. So, yes, you're right. That team succeeded for a reason, and boy, the Wild did not match up too good against them, did they? They kicked our butts in the playoffs. Remember that? It was just like... it was bad. And then the Wild had to counter it by picking up like big guys that couldn't play. Like you have to get big guys that can play, not just like, oh, he's big, and that's what the Wild did. Like the kind of guys that would barely be on an NHL roster, but he's big and tough. Yeah, and that was kind of like the end of Mr. Dumpster Doug's reign as the Wild's general manager. Yeah, they kept him way too long, but that's how that goes. Yep, very true, though. Those Anaheim teams were big as son of a gun. I was saying, OMG, I picked Middleton to score. I picked Middleton to score in the game and on the recent episode, and it happened. Derek was posting out with Mr. Darth Sidious. That would be Palpatine as well, with the Star Wars. Everything is proceeding exactly as I have foreseen. Yep. I was like, pretty much. Zero reply. Yep, another one. Something, dark side. Yep. It's the dark side of the Force. So, I will say, yep. Wow, incredible resilience. So the Wild kept coming back against the Kings. Derek was saying, I'm not sure I would call it resilience. The Wild made the game against the Kings a lot tougher than it should have been. Yeah, that seemed like they were just a step slow, didn't it? Kemper has been suspect from the start of the game. We needed to play a simplified north-south game, a missed opportunity in my opinion. Yep, and they did not play north-south. They were pretty east-west. So, yep, definitely a missed opportunity. It was cool that they hung in there, but yes, I understood completely that, yeah, it was a very frustrating game. More so, yeah, it just felt like the Kings had more energy the whole game. Oh, Jay Bushy, I'll have him lead off before the lightning round. So Jay Bushy leading off here, like Dan Gladden, hitting that double with a broken bat in the 91 World Series. Is the current road trip starting to wear on the team? I wouldn't doubt it. I can't imagine it's helped. Luckily, they're coming back after the Seattle game. Hopefully the Wild can win that one. But I wouldn't doubt it's starting to wear on them a little bit. And just, I don't know, I just think the Kings just, I don't know, it's just not the best matchup ever. And the Wild certainly... Just like I've been saying, like I've been babbling over and over about how they just were a step slow in those games, both of them. It was disappointing and frustrating to watch. Derek Felska, lightning round, hath returned. All right, so let's hop on to the lightning round here. Should anyone read into attendance numbers from the World Junior Championships, or are they simply aloof to what holiday time is like for hockey folks in Minnesota? Yeah, I don't know. They probably should read into it a little bit. I mean, it probably should have been better, right? Yep. I mean, I think they should look into it. Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting, and obviously things would have, could have, should have be better. And of course, the U.S. getting knocked out early was extremely disappointing, to say the least. Extremely disappointing. That's about all I could say about that. But congratulations to Sweden for sure. Next one. Why do the Minnesota Wild play like crap against, yes, the Los Angeles Kings? They're an okay team, but nothing special. Yeah, remember they were just above 500, yet it looks like in the series we'd probably lose to them. What gives? It's, is it the physicality? Is it just the... Yeah, it is weird. Like, the Wild always struggle against the Kings. They seem to just figure out a way. I'm getting hot here. Sorry if this gets noisy. They just have some... It's like they just kind of have our number. Kemper, of course, probably has been taking it personal since, things didn't work out here. Not that that means he should beat us, because I know the Wild were beating him at times as well. But I do think we're his least favorite team. I don't think there's any doubt about it that Kemper hates the Wild. He probably does. And they are nothing special. Their stars are all super old. Like, Kopitar's ancient. He's not good anymore. Drew Doughty's ancient, things like that. Byfield hasn't lived up to being a number 2 overall pick, and anybody wants to argue with me on that, I think, okay, how so? I notice Derek doesn't argue about that because he probably feels the same. Probably. Now, I'm not going to speak for him too much here. A lot of guys don't live up to being a number 1, number 2 pick, and it's like all over the league, honestly. It has been an extremely frustrating matchup, no doubt about it. And I do think we'd lose to them too. It's like that obnoxious series, like you're number 1, number 2 in the conference, and then the Kings are 7, 8, whatever, and they're the one that pulls off the upset in like 5 or 6 games, and you're just like left scratching your head, like, why? I don't know. It's really weird. It's an obnoxious, frustrating matchup, let me tell you. So glad to know I'm not the only person that's looking at that series, that matchup, and like, yeah, what the hell? So I'm a bit baffled by it as well. Continuing, Colorado has dropped. Yeah, these are all Derek, by the way, because it's a lightning round. Colorado has dropped their last 2 games in regulation. That's awesome. What odds would you give the Minnesota Wild catching them in the Central Division standings? I'm still unlikely. It'd be wonderful if it could happen, but games like the Kings, it seemed like how the Wild, they've been dropping games as well, like that stupid Kings series. So it's like terrible timing. Like the Wild could have maybe gained a couple points, and of course they get 1 out of 4 in that stupid Kings home and home series type of thing. They're both home games for the Kings. Anyway, I probably didn't word that too perfectly. It's an extremely frustrating matchup that can just gnaw at you, to say the least. I don't think the Wild will catch Colorado, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I'd say the odds are, at best, 20%, like 1 out of 5, but probably more like 1 out of 10, like a 10% chance, because they're way ahead. In the Wild, you know how we are. They're a very, very good team, very, very promising team. But at the same time, I think Colorado's just got too big of a lead. There is a chance, but I'll give it like 10 to 15%. We'll say. A couple more. Team Czechia has announced the Minnesota Wild prospect David Jiricek will be on their Olympic team roster. Well, David Jiricek. Spacek. Excuse me. Yeah, there's 2 Davids. Yes, and they're both from the same country and stuff. Prospect David Spacek will be on their Olympic roster, while David Jiricek will not. Do you think the Wild will give Spacek a look instead of Jiricek? I think they should. I really do. And I think Spacek has been the better player. I'm guessing Derek would agree on that. They should. Do I think they will? I hope so. All I can say is I hope so at this point, because I think it'd be the right thing to do. I think Jiricek has had his chances, and Spacek should have his gosh darn chances pretty soon here. Put it that way, as I'm attempting to bang on the table without doing, I don't know, because it's kind of a small table here. They really need to do that, as far as I'm concerned. Give Spacek more of a shot here. Yeah, I mean, they really need to do that. Yes, he's basically the leading scorer in Iowa, basically, depending on how you look at, Jerry Mayhew and such. God bless him, bless his heart and everything. He's in his 30s. He's a great minor leaguer. He's he's a true quad A guy. Great at the AHL level. Can't do anything at the pros, is what that means, of course. Spacek is a guy that I think could adjust. Everywhere he's gone, he's adjusted, hasn't he, though? Hasn't he been the kind of guy who seems to find a way to adjust to the next level. That's kind of how I look at David Spacek. Where Juracek, I don't know, it seems like everywhere he's gone, except at the maybe super early, he's been disappointing. Like Spacek was outstanding at the Q. Every year he gets a little bit better with Iowa. With the fear early on was maybe the defensively, he's just minus 16, minus 17. Like plus 53 in the Q, but again, that's the Q, you know. Ben Jones was really good in the Q. Didn't he have 100 points? Or not the Q, but the junior level. He had like 100 points one year. Spacek has gone from minus 16, minus 17-ish in Iowa to minus 5. And his scoring has stayed about the same. He's not like the guy who's like sacrificing scoring, like going from a guy who could get, 40 points to a guy who's got like 2 or 3. Oh, but his plus minus is way down. He's a plus 3 instead of minus 20. Wow. But he's got 3 points. Shoot. The scoring is about the same. You could argue, actually, mathematically, it's ahead of last year's pace when he had 31 points. So, very encouraging signs here. Like Spacek could probably get to 45 points and be almost even in the plus minus on a team that sucks. A team that sucks. Yeah. So, extremely encouraging. Whereas Sherbrooke Phoenix was like going to the final, basically, over there in the queue. Yeah, tons, they were really good. So, and the other good thing is Spacek continued to be really good in the postseason as well when he was in the queue. Iowa playoffs, funny stuff, as Dan Barreiro might say. Or Spacek should be looked at. Yes. Long story longer. Spacek should be looked at. Yes. Got me going with that one for sure. I support that 1,000%. Final one here. Final one. Greg Gagne style. Greatest ninth hitter in baseball in his day. With the Minnesota Wild having possibly as many as 10 players participating in the Olympics, do you think that's too much exposure for the organization for injuries, or is it a good thing? Like a little both. It's good in terms of it's kind of cool, for recognition, like we were talking about. The recognition is great. But yeah, it's kind of scary. Yes, it's kind of scary with the injuries, especially with the two goalies. Goalies and rest are a good thing, unless it's too much rest. Sometimes they come back rusty. Like when you have a backup goalie sit out way too long, and then they come back and they're just like, and they're disappointing. That's what can happen as well. So it's kind of a fine line between too little and too much, resting and then too much rest. But at the same time, the Olympic break wouldn't have been too much rest probably. So the good news is that they're not going to both be in there the whole time. Maybe it'll be a rotation at best, and then there's another goalie there as well. So that's the good side of things. So just, I guess, fingers crossed that these guys stay healthy. They don't have any, stupid thing happen, like bad bounce or, that type of thing happen to any of the other players. I mean, God bless. He was in favor. Stay healthy. For heaven's sake, please stay healthy, that type of thing. So, yeah, it's scary a little bit. It's cool to see these guys at the high level. They're all excited to be there. So, Hughes and Faber are very excited, and it's cool to see guys from our top pairing being extremely valued by the U.S. Olympic team, and I think that's awesome. So, there's the plus and minus to it, which I'm sure you probably also can kind of see it a bit as well. But the injury thing, of course, yes, it's always a concern. With that said, great. Thank you so much, Derek. Obviously, Croesus' podcast, 1,000%. Check it out. Great conversation. Aaron Kibiharu had a lot of good things to say, interesting things to say. Not necessarily saying Kibiharu is going to be, whoever. He's going to be the next Nicholas Lidstrom or anything, because that's not exactly what he was saying. But not necessarily like he's a bust either. Just don't get overly excited. That's the whole point. And I don't want to let too much of the cat out of the bag. You could hear a better analogy without me babbling on, so I apologize about that. Thank you again so much for listening. M&W Young Guns, huge shout out there. Obviously, Crease Assist, like I said. Minnesota Wild Global. That's a Facebook page, of course. Highly recommended. With that said, thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you next week. And hopefully, guys can stay healthy, continue to get better. And yes, David Spacek needs to be looked at a lot stronger, rather than just kind of, he's doing nice in Iowa. No, Minnesota.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.